Hello, hello. Good evening, everyone. Hi.
Hi.
I'm going
Hi.
to light myself a little better. I have one of those desk standing lamps that enhance your appearance in camera, but I have them right in front of my eyes, so it's a little tiresome after 2 hours. All right, let's see who is here. Hi, Paige. How are you? Melissa, hello. Zhu Chen, hello.
Hello.
Hey, Billy.
Hey there.
Jeff. Hi, Jeff.
Hey, how you doing?
And Josie. Hello, Josie.
Oops.
Hey, good evening.
Good evening. And hi, Susan.
Hi.
And
Camera's acting weird. There it is.
Kelly also. Hi. All right. Few of you are working from the office. I can tell. Good. All righty. Let me share my screen here. And all right, we are on class number 4. So we wrapped the exercise on family creation last Tuesday. And I have to admit that having a tutorial about family creation as the first class for an intermediate course was probably a little challenges in the order of topics. But as you are aware, I was misled to believe that this was an advanced course, and I had started the tutorial, so I decided to finish it up. But hopefully some of you were able to complete the exercise and be exposed to this concept of creating new components that are parametric and enable you with the ability to engineer the behavior of parametric elements inside Revit. I think the takeaways is that you can be very smart about how you want to create a component by adding the appropriate parameters, the parameters that needs to be part of a element are really dependent on what is the objective of the component. So always start by asking why, what is that we need? What is the component that I need? How it needs to perform, and what is the information that it needs to convey in construction documentation. Sometimes the answer to those 3 answers are very simple. Maybe you just need a 2-dimensional family. Sometimes you want to translate information about that component into schedules, and if that's the case, then we need to add the appropriate parameters into the family. And sometimes the family is used for visualization or for realistic representation, in which case we need to make sure that we have an ability to apply materials, parameters, and into the family. And so the purpose of a family define what needs to be. And so this concept of nesting components inside another one, it's a smart way of planning smart or engineering a smart component. And obviously from a single family, you can derive as many types as you need, as many types as your needs. All right, so I realize that we are one class behind. This is the result of this component, the cabinet in particular. It was a challenging tutorial. Not all the families that you build has to have this level of intelligence. I purposely chose this example to display the capabilities of family creation inside Revit with the full parametric capacity. Right? Sometimes you're just going to need a standalone family and you don't need to add any parametric behaviors. And sometimes you want to create like a complete set of types or family components that builds your library needs. And so in that case, then I illustrate how you could create something that is of a greater complexity. And so we are one class behind, but what I think I'm going to do, I'm going to catch up in class 7 and 8, because I think the view controls, dependent views, it's all part of BIM management. And I think I can merge these two topics into a single class. So don't worry about that. And the topic for today is phasing and design options. And those who took my class during the summer, you probably remember the exercise and the tutorial we did on class. I'm going to do a little repeat of that today and start by discussing what are the basic concepts behind phasing and what are some of the basic concepts behind design options. And we're going to do a quick exercise around it. All right, don't forget to sign up on the attendance sheet. I'm going to copy and paste the link to the attendance in the chat panel. If you haven't done so yet, go into the link, add your initials. And also another reminder that for today, we're going to be using this data set. Is the phasing design options folder. You can get it from the Google Drive. I'm going to get a link and also going to post it in the chat panel. That's it. So download it and place it in an easy accessible folder in your workstation. Remember where you place it because we're going to be accessing it throughout the exercise. Okay, another just a reminder, feel free to interrupt me if I'm going a little too fast. In Revit, unfortunately, is one of those pieces of software that is very easy to stop an operation and cancel a sequence. And so if you, for example, in the middle of an operation and then you hit escape, that basically cancel the command and you have to start over. And so I realized that if I'm in the middle of explaining a sequence of commands, you might hit a wall or you might be in the middle of something. So feel free to stop me, ping me on the chat panel, ask me to redo these steps. I certainly try to be cognizant of the fact that some operations are lengthy, and I'll try my best to repeat those sequences a couple of times. And usually when that's the case, I ask you to watch first while I do it, and then we'll do it together. And then in addition to that, feel free to stay after the class and I can watch your work one-on-one.
Cesar,
Melissa, I just saw your notes.
Yeah.
Oh man, unfortunately, let me see if I can have an older data set. So give me a second. I may have. I'm going to create a. we'll create another folder here. Phasing. 20 old. Let me see if I can get.
Um, if you don't have the files, I can download the 2021 Revit and watch your class after I do that.
Yeah, I would recommend you that after this class, if you could either download the 30-day trial or I have 2019 data sets here. Give me a second. I'm going to clean them up a little bit because I'm not sure I'll have older versions moving forward.
Okay. Sorry about that.
Not a problem. So this is, I'm going to copy this. And put them into the Google Drive. Okay, it's going to take about a minute to upload all this. So let me know if it works. Also, so while these uploads, maybe I'll get started with some discussion on the phasing and design options language.
Thank you.
All right, let's look at so any question about the syllabus, the attendance, the dynamics. All right, let's talk about phasing. So phasing in Revit define design scope that stage over time. Phasing is a strategy that BIM managers or that teams or project managers suggest as a result of scope of work that it's driven by a contract. Sometimes a project needs to be a stage over time because there are budgets associated with incremental additions. And when that is the case, then it's natural to include phasing in the design documentation. So a phase, it's by definition, it's an instance parameter of the view. And yes, and I'm gonna make a PDF of my deck at the end of the class and upload it in the same folder, in the phasing option folder. So phase, it's a property of the view. And I'm gonna jump here into Revit to display that. So when you have a view and you look at the instance parameter of a view, you're going to find right below here that there is a property called phase. And this indicates the active phase of a view. And the active phase of the view could be made as a stage that happened in the past or something that happens in the future. And so you create new faces under the add-ins, not under the view tab. Right, or maybe it's under the manage tab. Yeah, and then the manage tab, phasing. And by default, Revit has two phases. It has the existing and it has the new construction. The template that ships with Revit has all the views associated with the new construction. And what that means is every element that I place and create in the view is automatically associated with the new construction phase. Here's an example. This is a set of 4 walls. I mean, I just create them in this view. And when I look at the properties of this level 1, by default, it goes to the new construction. So phase, it's a property of the view. You can add additional phases by hitting the insert button before or after. You can also merge different phases into a single one. And in particular, you know, when we are providing a final set of as-built model to the contractor or the owner, it's usually a good idea to merge the phasing so that on the operation side and facility management, it reflects the current conditions. Obviously, you will have to make copies or keep copies of the documentation, the documentation file. All right, clear about what a phase is? All right, then we have something called an object phasing. And this has instance properties of an object. The instance properties are properties. When you select an object in Revit, all the properties that are listed in the property window are the unique parameters of that object. And those are called instance parameters. And so the object phasing, it's a combination of two things. When an element is created, when does it appear in the project? And when does the element disappear, or when the element is demolished? And so every object in Revit has these two parameters, phase created and phase demolished. So going back to Revit, when I select an object, you're going to see at the bottom of the instance properties, the parameter called phase created and the phase demolished. When the demolished parameter says none, that means that this is an existing element to preserve. That element is not going anywhere. It's not going to disappear in the sequence of phasing. And it also indicates when an element is created. All these 4 walls were created in the new construction phase. Now you can manipulate the projects to be assigned to a different phase, property. So for example, I'm going to select these 4 walls and I'm going to associate them to the existing, they were created in the existing phase. And notice how immediately they get this gray color. Because all this the active phase for the view is new construction, and these 4 walls were created in a previous phase. And because they were created in the previous phase, they inherit a phase filter. A phase filter, it's a color override, which give these walls this gray color. All right, so go back to my deck. The combination of when an element is created and when an element is demolished creates what's called the phasing status. And the element status describe a condition of an element in a view as a result of phasing. So you have a status defined relative to the active phase. So the active phase is defined in the view. So existing elements are elements that were created in the previous phase and that are not demolished. So the combination of created in the previous phase but has not been demolished, those are the existing elements. And in fact, this is an existing element. This element was created in the previous phase, in the existing phase, and is not demolished. It says none. Now I'm going to create another wall here. I'm just going to create another wall here. This wall comes with a different line weight because the status is different. So new elements are created in the current phase and they are not demolished. And so this wall that I just created, when I select and look at the instance properties, they were created in the active view, in the active phase. At level 1, it's associated with new construction. So that's the current, the active phase. And it was created in the new construction and is not demolished. And when this happens, these will inherit the properties of the object styles. So to remind you, the object styles are the global settings of the Revit elements by category. So every wall in Revit across all the views have a default value of 5, pen number 5 in the cut plane. And it has a default material and it's black. So global settings across different views. And these particular elements inherit the properties by category. So when we say by category, immediately think object styles, the global settings. All right, demolish element, it's an object that was created in the previous phase and then is demolished in the current phase. So I'm going to make a copy of this element. And let's say this is a tunnel, and this tunnel is going to be created in different phases. And then the demise wall is going to it's created in the previous phase and it's demolished in the active phase. The current phase of the view, it's new construction. So this wall will be demolished in the new construction. And as soon as I do that, notice how this the value change. And obviously I need to fix this so that the line weight doesn't look too bad here. So I'm gonna right click here and disallow join, and I'm just gonna drag this down. Again, what I'm doing is disallowing the automatic joins to be able to display this demise wall as a demolished wall. I have a question here from Paige. How did I demolish the wall? It's a matter of changing the instance properties. So this wall was created in the existing phase, in the previous phase, and is demolished in the new construction. So notice if I change this to none, it returns to gray, but it's going to be demolished in the new construction. So it inherits this, this dash line. That makes sense? All right. And then the last status is a temporary condition. And a temporary condition, those are elements that are created in the current phase and demolished in the current phase. I changed the status of the highlighted wall. That's correct, Paige. I changed it from existing to demolished by changing the phase demolish parameter. Okay, and temporary statuses are elements that are created in the current phase and demolished in the current phase. Examples of those are temporary construction elements like the trailer or protective walls in the field, or the fences around the construction site, which we typically don't design in architecture, or we're not in control of those. But if an element is created in the current phase and demolished in the current phase, it has a temporary status. We don't use them that often, but let me give you an example. Let's see this wall. This wall is going to be created in new construction, and it's going to be demolished in new construction. And when I do that, it has a different light value. Notice how it has this hatch in the middle of it, because every status receives a color override or a line weight override. And that is the next slide. A phase graphic override is a set of line weight properties or cut patterns associated with an object status. You can customize it, but out of the box, existing elements have a grayscale. If you don't like the gray color, if you want a lighter, you can always come back and change it. So existing elements, meaning elements that were created in the previous phase and demolished in the current phase, they receive a graphic override. Demolished objects receive this dash line. Demolished object was created, sorry, I misspoke. Existing elements that were created in the previous phase and they remain. They do not get demolished. These are elements existing to remain. The demolished line weight is applied to elements created in the previous phase and demolished in the current phase or the active phase. New elements receive this line weight, is a very dark line weight, and temporary elements receive this little dash line weight. These are elements created in the current phase and demolished in the current phase, and they receive this hatch. And so the line weights that you see here are reflected in all these different walls. These two ones are existing. This one is demolished. These are new, and these are temporary. That makes sense? And the graphic override settings are available under the phasing dialog box, under the graphic overrides. And you can change it if you want. For example, some firms like to display existing or existing walls to remain. You may want to show it as a solid gray. So you may want to associate this to a solid fill with a light gray. And now I'm applying a hatch to the walls, and my existing walls now display in gray. I don't know, you pick your convention. But in general, I think the convention is that existing elements have gray line weight, new elements are solid black, demolished elements are dash, and temporary dimensions have a dash in the middle, hatch in the middle. Okay, does this explain the concept so far as graphic overrides, element statuses, and object phasing, which is a property of the objects, and a phase is a property of the view. Property of the view, property of the object, condition of an element in a view as a result of phasing, graphic override applied to those objects. Okay, so the last concept gets a little hairy, and that is actually a property of the view as well. So that is the concept of a phase filter. And a phase filter, it's a set of toggles that selectively apply graphic override to the elements in the view. So the phase filter, and you find it in the phasing dialog box. And again, it's a series of toggles that apply graphic properties to elements based on their status. And I realize when you look at this, you kind of like, what the hell is this? But the status, the filter is actually, the concept is very simple. The active view you're working, you apply a filter, and by applying a filter, you can selectively apply line weights by category. By category means by object style. Apply overridden categories or overridden graphic properties based on the graphic overrides in the tab, or you can completely switch off that element. Let me give you an example. For example, show new, it's a phase filter, and show new display new elements by category. I know this is hidden. Existing elements are switched off, so you will not see elements that are existing. You're not going to display demolished elements, and you're not going to display temporary elements. Only the new elements are visible. Take a look at this one. It's this one, which is used very frequently. It shows the previous state status and the new status. What that means is that elements that are new for the active phase will receive graphic override by category. This is based on the object styles. Existing elements will be overridden, and overridden it will mean they will display gray because the graphic override will kick in. Overridden means apply the graphic overrides. Apply the graphic overrides to the existing elements, and do not display the demolished objects, because this will be used for a construction plan. And then if you have temporary dimensions, display them overridden. Take a look at the default one. This one is called show all, which is number 1, and it's in gray. That means it's a system filter. You cannot delete this. I mean, by default, you have views need to have a filter. And what row number 1 means is that in that active view, new elements will be displayed by category per object styles. Existing objects will apply graphic overrides. Demolished elements will be applied graphic overrides, and temporary objects will be applied overrides. So go back to Revit, and when you look at the properties of the view, notice how it says show all. And then the reason these objects display with these line weights is because of this property. And so it's not only important to understand we need to apply the appropriate phasing to the object, we also need to apply the proper filter so that the line weights meet the design intent of the view. Let me explore other filters. For example, I'm going to show this as complete. Oh, what happened here? So let's go to the faces and look at the filters. And for the show complete, it's saying new elements are going to display by category. So those elements are these two by category. Right? Existing elements, show complete is this. Existing elements will be displayed by category. So the existing elements that previously were gray are also displayed by category. The demolished object, the wall, the demise wall that was here is not displayed, and that's why it was off. And the temporary wall that was here, it's also switched off, and that's why it disappeared. Let's look at another filter. Let's say I'm going to apply show new. What happened with the rest of the objects? It's all driven by the face filter. The face filter is telling me that the show new display the new objects by category. Existing objects are switched off, and that's why they don't appear. The demolished object also it's switched off, and the temporary element is switched off. So this is a way to switch off elements to respect the purpose of the view. So I'll give you an example. If you're trying to create a demolition plan, then the filter that you typically apply, it's show all the previous existing elements, all the demolition elements, but you don't show any new elements. So when I apply the show previous and new, this is the demolition plan. I don't display any new objects. When I look at the filters associated with that, this is the show previous and demo. And what this is saying is new objects are not displayed. Where they are, they're switched off. Existing objects are overridden, meaning apply the gray graphic override, and those are these objects. The demolished object is overridden, and that's why it received this dash line. And the temporary elements is switched off. Temporary dimensions are only applicable to the active phase, not the previous phase. If you're doing a construction plan usually display existing objects to remain and new elements created. But in a construction plan, you don't show demo objects. So when I go into this face filter and I apply show previous and new, this is actually a good construction plan because it's not displaying demolition elements, it's not displaying temporary elements. And if I look at the properties of the facing of the face filter, new elements are displayed by category. Existing elements are overridden using the graphic overrides. Demolished elements are not displayed, and temporary dimensions, temporary faces are not displayed. That makes sense. So it's like it's a collection of toggles that apply graphic overrides to elements based on their status. So it's probably going to make more sense to you once we start the exercise. So let's any question here before we start the exercise?
Hear me now, featuring the amount of
Oops.
the bad wolves.
Not you, Alexa. I have Alexa speaking on the back. Alexa, shut up. All right, I'm going to close this file. And let's get started with the project, with the tutorial. So I'm going to open the file called existing in the design folder. I copy all my data sets in a C folder. And under design options, why don't I have it? Oh, I need to copy them. Give me a second. I thought I had done this. Copy, and I go to. Oh, it's a project, not a family. Have to hit open a project, not a family. And then open the file called existing. This is a Revit 2021 project. And this is a office suite that's going to undergo a retrofit. And the retrofit is going to be done in 2 phases. You're going to have phase 1, and you're going to have a phase 2. And you receive from your client this as built. This reflects the existing condition. Some of these walls are going to be demolished in phase 1. Some of these walls are going to be demolished on phase 2. And my task is to create a plan of existing condition, a plan of the demolition condition for phase 1, a plan of new construction for phase 1, a plan for demolition of phase 2, and a plan of construction for phase 2, and then an as-built condition. And so we're going to do this for the next, for the rest of the hour. All right, the first thing I need to do is understand the active phases. So you go to the Manage tab, and then open the Phases dialog box. It's right next to the Selection and Project. And this project has two phases, existing and new construction. And I know that this project is going to be built in 2 phases, phase 1 and phase 2. So I'm going to highlight row number 2, and you can just double click on, you can just click on the cell to rename it. And I'm going to call phase 2, I'm going to call it row 2, I'm going to call it phase 1. This is new construction on phase 1. Then I'm going to again highlight row number 2. And I'm going to insert a new row after row number 2. So in the insert button, hit the after button. And this automatically is going to create phase number 2. If you want, you can add descriptions. You don't have to, but these are new construction, new retrofit, phase 1. And the other will be new retrofit, phase 2. And then once you got this, you apply it. And my phases now are in place. Again, this is a project management strategy. And on your end, if you're using phases, it needs to be a decision that you don't take unilaterally, because it's all your deliverables really depend on how phasing is structured. If you're going to like send permit for the phase 1 and then a permit set for phase 2, those need to be clearly documented. All right, so these are this is the model I received from the client, and these reflect existing conditions. But when I select an object and I look at the properties, notice that it says that the phase created was phase 1. So none of these none of these elements are in the appropriate phase. And so all of these are going to become existing objects. And the easy way to make them existing is to select the object and change the phasing to existing. But if I start doing this one by one, it's going to take a lot of clicks. There's a better way to do this, and this is using multiple selection. And so so on your end, make sure you disable Revit ability to select pin objects. What that means is that this little icon that looks like a push pin with an arrow, make sure that that doesn't display the little X. This is enable or disable Revit ability to select pin objects. And pin objects include system pins. Example of system pins are the mullions and the panels of a curtain wall. And really what I want is just to select everything about the curtain wall assemble. I don't want to select the individual curtain panels or the individual. So make sure you do that. Oh, sorry, you disable it. My bad. You need to display it as an X. And so you see when I select the curtain wall is selected as a assemble, but I don't have the ability to pick the individual mullions or panels of this curtain wall. So make sure it does have an X, this red X. With me? All right, so the easy way to change things from one phase to another one, it's making multi-selection. So I'm going to do a big window selection. So click on the upper left side, create a big window selection. And when I do that, notice that the filter display a total number of 54 elements. You also have that number reported in the properties dropdown. And then I can use this dropdown list to change elements in bulk. So let's start with the doors. I narrow the doors. You can also use the filter here if you prefer to. You've used the filter before, right? So I select all the doors and I change. All these doors were created in the existing phase. So I'm just going to change it to existing. And then I go back and select the walls. And all the phase created of the walls is the existing one as well. And when escape, then notice how everything now is grayed out. And this is a good representation of existing conditions. That makes sense? So are you all with me here? All I did is to change do a big selection. So you can use the filter and select just the doors and change the doors to existing. They were created in the existing phase. Then go back, do a big selection, select only the walls, and change when those walls were created to existing. You should have everything as a grayed out. The reason it's grayed out is because it has this filter called show all. And if you look at the properties of the phase filter, show all will display new elements by category, existing elements overridden. So that's why they show as gray. Demolish objects as overridden, temporary objects overridden. So show all may not be the appropriate view filter because it's going to start showing demolished elements in the future. It's still going to display new elements. So in order to display only the existing objects, I need to display just the previous phase. So the only filter that does that is filter number 7. You see how it says display previous phase. And so all existing objects are going to be overridden. And then demolished, temporary, and new are not going to be displayed. So I want to change the phase filter to previous phase. And that should do it for the existing plan. That makes sense. So let's go ahead and duplicate the view because now we need to create different copies of the view and for different purposes. Each view is going to serve a different purpose. So we're going to duplicate a view. And this copy that I just created, I'm going to rename it. And I'm going to call this level 1 dash existing conditions. And this 3D view can also be, this setting can also be made in a 3D view. For example, click this little 3D view to create a new 3D view in the project browser. So go to the, I call it the house in the hill because it's right at the top. So click the house in the hill. That's going to create a new 3D view. And you can apply the same properties overrides. These are existing objects. No, it's phase 1 and previous phase. Yeah, that's what it is, and that's why you display everything in gray. You can even give it a shade. So again, this 3D view that I just created, which is 3D view in brackets, I'm going to duplicate it. And I'm going to call this 3D dash level 1 existing conditions. All right, you all with me here? I have a floor plan that represents existing condition. I have a 3D view that represents existing conditions. And I'm going to close the views that I don't need right now. So I'm going to close level 1, and I'm just going to stick with this 2. Any questions so far? Are you with me? Anybody fall behind? Need me to repeat anything? All right, let's go. All right, the next task is to create a demolition plan. And what I know from the scope of work is that these suites are going to get demolished. Then some of these doors are going to be reversed in the new construction, so they need to be removed. And yeah, I need to create a dedicated view that display the project, the demolition plan. So go ahead and duplicate level 1, the existing conditions, duplicate this view, right click. And we're gonna, the copy of this view, we're gonna name it level 1 demolition plan. So rename, we're gonna rename this, and I'm gonna call this demolition plan. And so let's check after doing this, we have to check the appropriate phase filter. So if I go back to the phase filter, the phase filter that is most suitable for demolition plan is one that display existing elements to remain and demolish elements. And so that is run number 5. The filter called previous and demo is going to switch off the new elements. It's going to display the existing elements in grayscale. It's going to display the demolished elements as dash objects, and it's going to switch off the temporary elements. And so the phase filter I'm going to use is the show previews and demo. And you always, and you should know this, this is for demo plans, always use previews plus demo. Okay, so how do I start demolishing elements? I mean, the one way to do it is to select a door. This door is going to get demolished on phase 1 and it's going to be reversed. So this was created in the existing phase and it's going to get demolished in phase 1. And as soon as I do that, the door appears dashed. Now, again, you can start picking instance by instance. But that's a lot of clicks and picks. If you want to have a little bit of more fun, you can actually grab the hammer tool and demolish the objects. So under the Modify tab, you're going to find this tool called the Demolish tool. It's a hammer, the hammer icon. All you need to do is click the hammer and click the objects you want to move to demolish. And you can do this pretty quickly. You just grab the hammer and apply it to all the objects. And notice that doors that are hosted by walls inherit the wall phasing. That's one of the properties of nested or wall-based components. And you don't have to worry about doing them one by one. All right, does that make sense? This is the demolition plan. If I go back to existing conditions, notice how the elements, the demolition elements are no longer displayed. These are the existing elements to remain. Any question here? Now, in the existing condition, if I want to maintain the demolished elements, one thing you could do is edit the phase filter. So I'm going to go to the manage, to the phase filter on the graphic, on the phase filter, and then show previous phase. I could say display demolish objects. If I do overridden, they're going to display dashed. If I display by category, they're going to display black. Let's see, how do I do this? The only thing I can think of is changing the phase. Let me play with this a little bit. I change this to existing, and then I change this to complete, show complete. And this will be existing conditions basically. Okay, page. When I went to existing, my demo walls were still there. So are you in the demolition plan page? And so make sure you have the following properties. This one highlighted in red in the demolition plan. You want to have the phase 1, show previous and demo. And then in order to display this as dash, just grab the hammer and click a wall. Oh, but you're talking about your existing. When you went to the existing, my demo walls are still there.
Oh, I hate this. Oops, you can hear me. I don't mean the class, I mean my inability to do it.
So you are in the existing conditions, is that right? The existing condition view?
So I have, okay, yeah, now I'm in existing conditions, but I see my demoed walls. And when I go down to the phase, I don't have phase 1 and phase 2. So at one point I was even with you, and then I must have backed up out of it so that I don't have them for my phase filters.
The phase filter is so complete. And then the phase, it's you don't have phase 1 and phase 2 in this drop down.
No,
Okay, so yeah, you're missing the,
I had it. I think I backed up and it went away, but I have Jeff helping me.
yeah, so go to the manage tab, then go to phases, and then rename the new construction to phase 1 and add another phase 2. Again, it's manage tab, phases, and then go to project phases and add the additional phases. Yeah, and this is fundamental. Without this, the rest of the tutorial may not display correctly.
Okay, I think Jeff's got me set. Thank you.
Awesome. Okay. All right, so I have existing conditions. I have a demolition plan. Let's go to the 3D view. This is also an existing condition. Notice how the walls were demolished. So I'm going to do exactly the same thing as I did on the previous view. On the 3D view, I'm going to set the phase to existing and the phase filter to show, what's the one I had here? The show complete. So in the 3D view, I'm going to show complete. Yeah. This is only going to show the elements in the existing phase in the 3D view. Are you with me here? So what I did is open the 3D view and then change the phasing information as follows. Phase, display the existing elements and apply the show complete filter. All right, so I'm going to create a 3D view that display demolition conditions. So what you can do is right click on the 3D view and then duplicate the view. And then this is going to create a copy of the existing conditions. And I'm going to rename it. I'm going to call this demolition 3D view, 3D level 1 demolition. And I'm going to change the phase filter. So in demolition views, you show the active phase, and then you show demo and new, previous and demo, sorry. And notice how the demo override has a material override as well. And that's why they display in this red color. So again, repeating and going slow, what I did is duplicate the existing conditions and rename it as demolition. Then go to the demolition 3D view and apply this phasing properties. Phase 1, show previous and demo. And then you're going to have a demolition plan for phase 1. And it even includes, the removal of the existing door. All right, you all with me here? All right, if you're not, let me know. Last thing I want is that you lag behind. And
Cesar,
yes,
how did you get the color under? I think I missed that.
how do I get this color?
Is that just the override feature?
Yeah, so to explain, in the face override, notice how the demolish objects have this material called face demo. And this face demo have this color shading appearance. And the reason it shows shade dashed is because the projection and surface dash line kicks in. And so these line weight, it's that line weight, and this red material is this red material. That makes sense?
Very nice.
Missed the part where the top door was demo, this door. So go to the demolition plan page and select, go to the modify tab, grab the hammer and hit that door. Modify tab, hammer, and hit that door. That's going to demolish that door. All right, so we are halfway the exercise. Now we need to create a construction plan in 3D. And then we're going to move to design options. All right, so the demolition plan in the floor plan, I'm going to duplicate it and rename it, and I'm going to call it construction plan. So right click on the demolition, duplicate it. This new copy, I'm going to rename it and call it construction plan. And there are things I need to do to this view in order to display a construction plan. So what I'm going to do here is look at the view properties. And in order to display a construction plan, I need to apply the face filter called show previews and new. And why is that? Because the settings of these overrides of the filters for the previous and new is telling me that existing new elements are going to display by category. Existing elements are going to be grayed out. Demolished elements are going to be not display, and that's why these are switched off. You don't see them here. And temporary elements are going to be not shown as well. So here I'm ready to start adding stuff. I mean, I can create walls, I can create partitions, I can create furniture, and these new elements are created in the active view, and that's why they appear like a solid black, because new objects placed in this view are inheriting phase one, the phase one property. So all these three walls that I placed are part of the are displayed per category. So I'm going to delete this because that's not the design intent for this, but I wanted to notice this. When you demolish a door, Revit automatically infill it. So if the door was removed and Revit assumes that you want to infill that opening, and it creates a new wall for you. You don't have to infill openings for doors and windows. They automatically, Revit's going to automatically do that for you. All right, so I have a layout of phase one in the data set. So rather than us creating a new office suite, what we're going to do is bring or link phase one. Phase one, it's just It's the retrofit portion of this project. And then we're going to bind it and we're going to explode it. What we basically want to do is insert this file inside on another one. And when we link elements and bind them in Revit, binding means making a link part of the project. Revit is going to create a group. We are going to ungroup it, and all the elements that are part of this phase are going to inherit the phase properties of the view. So let's do that quickly. So you go to the insert tab, and then we're going to manage links. And in the manage link, we're going to add a new Revit link. Navigate to the file called phase 1. I'm going to leave the origin to origin default positioning. And then hit OK. All right, that is a link of my phase 1. Links in Revit can be binded. When you bind a link, Revit converts it into a group. You can ungroup the group and all the instances will inherit the properties of the view. All right, see Paige, you okay, Paige, with me? Oh, I see a hand raised from Holman. Do you have a question, Holman?
Yeah, this is the first time I see this. I was wondering if what you just did there, can technically somebody be working on a kitchen layout on a separate file, and when they're done, I can bring it into the main.
Yes, in fact, you guys,
Okay.
you guys are using Revit LT.
Yeah.
You don't have work sharing, right?
Yeah, that could we don't, and so that could be really useful. So
Yeah.
sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. So this is the new addition. The addition comes with two new storefronts. This storefront, this couple of storefront into the meeting room are new. Now that this is ready, this option is ready, I can bind it. So bind a link will convert the link into a group. So I'm going to exclude all these 3 things. Make sure you don't include levels and grids because they may be redundant. And attach details or two-dimensional components associated with the views. So do not do that. Just clear these 3 checkboxes. Hit OK. The link becomes a group and Revit gives you a warning that the link is removed. So make sure you hit remove link here. And this is a warning. Yes, we want to remove this link. And that link is now converted into a group. The group, in order to access all the instances, you can ungroup it. And now I have access to all the individual instances. And when you select like a piece of the elements, notice that all the instances inherit the active property of the view. So the view was set up as phase 1. All the instances of the binded elements inherit this property. And that's
So
why.
sorry, why wouldn't you just keep it as a link?
If I don't bind it, for example, things like storefronts, we're not going to cut the elements automatically. And link objects do not have a facing information. For example, I won't be able to
You
schedule
can't schedule that.
anything about that.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
And where did you find the bind link?
Let me undo this. when, well, I cannot undo. You select the link and it's going to appear in the contextual tab. Do you guys see that?
No, I don't see it. And when I click on it,
Select the link and then in the contextual tab, there should be a bind button.
I see manage links.
You see the modify link.
I have modify RVT links instead of modify model groups.
Correct. And there should be a button in this location that it says bind. No?
No, no bind button. Manage links is the last one. I have create group, create similar, manage links.
Let me do it again. I'm gonna manage links, add, and then I added this phase 1. This is the link. So when you see, when I select this one, you don't see this button.
I don't see that button.
Are you on LT?
Yes.
Wow, so I didn't know. Is this a limitation of LT? Let me find, I don't know.
Actually, I think it is because I can't see it either. Is anybody else in my group having the same problem?
Yeah, you're right. It says here, bind option not available in Revit.
Yep. I had a feeling there was a few things that it doesn't do.
Okay, that was news for me. I did not know that LT prevents you from binding. It's a bummer.
Okay.
So the alternate in that scenario will be just copy paste the element. So you will have to open the file,
Right.
in the
Okay.
same session, grab the object and paste it. But for the purpose of this exercise, I believe you can leave it as a link.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. All right. If you're using the full suite of Revit, then you'll be able to bind it and then ungroup it. All right. And what I was saying earlier is that now I have access to all the instances of the project, and look at the demolition plan. It automatically includes the demo of the opening in preparation for the new storefront. And then if, for example, you decided, oh, this needs to move, it automatically recalculate the demolition plan.
So my demolition plan doesn't show the demolition for the storefront windows. Is that a product of not being able to do what you just tried to have us do?
Yeah, that's a limitation of the binding. If you
Okay.
can bind it, then it's not part of the project. If not part of the project, it's not gonna host into the wall.
Okay, thanks.
Insert, manage links.
But if you brought that in as a paste, if you brought it in as paste, will it automatically do the cut as well?
Yeah, if you copy paste it, it will do it.
Great.
Let's do that in the next phase, because there's another phase that needs to happen here. Okay, so so this was construction plan. Another thing I failed to say is that this is construction plan for phase 1. So in the model, in the view, let's rename it, and this will be construction plan phase 1. All right, so for the next phase, there's a retrofit that's going to happen in this one, and but this is going to come in two options. There is a construction plan option 1 and construction plan option 2. So we're going to tender two options, and I'm going to discuss the design options with you all. But let's prepare it. So right click on the construct. Oh, you know what? Let's finish the 3D view. So duplicate the demolition 3D view. And I'm going to rename it and call it 3D level 1 construction dash phase 1. And so if I want to display the construction plan for the phase 1, I need to change the phase filter to display, you tell me, it's previews and new. Display all the existing objects, display all the new objects. Do not display the demo. That's what this means. And now I have 3 different views, and I'm kind of like building a story of how this project evolves over time. All right, so for the next interaction, we're going to duplicate the floor plan level 1, phase 1, the construction plan, and we're going to duplicate the view, and we're going to rename it. And this is going to be construction plan phase 2. Option A or option 1? Yeah, option A. Now I need to apply the appropriate filters. So again, what I just did is duplicate the construction plan, rename it as construction plan dash phase 1 option A, and in the phase filter, I'm going to move the phases. So I'm in a new phase. This is phase 2. I'm going to move the property of the view to phase 2. And I'm going to keep previews and new. And notice how all the elements of the design all the elements created in phase 1 are now existing objects. And for you guys who are using a link, can you let me know if the link change of color when you apply these properties? Does it turn into gray? No, it's still black, and I think that's one of the problems of using links. Elements in links don't travel across phasing. So again, the solution will be to copy paste it. And Kel, you have a question about something? Sorry, I just
Oh,
checked.
it was about the link. I didn't see it either.
Oh, you didn't see changing?
No, this was about the link, but this was a while ago.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. So for the design options, I'm going to use copy paste so that it's more so that we can do it correctly. First, I'm going to clean the this is the construction plan phase 2 option A. I also need to duplicate this. Well, let's go back here. Let's go back to level 1 construction phase 1. I'm going to duplicate the 3D view, and we're going to do the same. Duplicate the view, Again, in the 3D views, select the construction phase 1. And I'm going to rename it and call this phase 2, option A. And the phase filter for this 3D view is going to be phase. I'm just going to change the property of the 3D view to phase 2. So make sure you duplicate the view, the 3D view, rename it with the prefix phase 2, option A, and change the phase to phase 2 and apply it. And now everything about phase 1 will be grayed out. If you have a link, the link is going to still display in color. I don't think the graphic overrides will apply. All right. So for phase 2, option A, I also need to create a demolition plan. So all the elements in the southeast corner are going to be demolished. So I'm going to right click the construction plan phase 2. I'm going to duplicate it, rename it, and I'm going to call this copy level 1 demolition plan phase 2. And I don't have option A or option B because the demolition is going to apply for both options. And again, select the construction plan call for phase 2, right click, duplicate it, and then rename it as demolition plan phase 2. Make this view your active view. And then in the phase filter, this needs to have a filter associated with demolition plans. And that's going to be show previews and demo. So make sure you add this show previews and demo in the demolition plan and hit the apply button. And I'm going to grab the hammer and demolish all the walls of this suite. So go to the modify tab. In the modify tab, find the hammer tool, and demolish everything in the southeast corner. This becomes the demolition plan for phase 2. You with me? Then I'm going to scroll to the 3D views and do the same. I'm going to grab the 3D view construction phase option A, duplicate the view via right click, duplicate view, duplicate. And rename the copy as right click again, level 1 demolition dash phase 2. And then the only thing I'm going to do is change the phase filter to show previews and demo. And that is the demolition 3D view of phase 2. That makes sense? Anybody need me to repeat anything? Are we all together on this? All good? All right. Okay, let's go back to the construction phase, option A. So I have a big open space where I'm going to that's going to receive design options. And here's where I come with the design options. Open. Design options, guys. All right, design options. When should we use design options in Revit? So design options enable us to explore multiple design scenarios. You're all familiar with creating, presenting options to the client. And inside Revit, you have the ability to create in the same model, multiple design scenarios. You can investigate different ideas, propose optioneering to the clients. You can even compare data between design options, such as schedules or cost or takeoff. When should we use design options? To display alternate floor plan layouts. It could be furniture layouts, it could be office layouts in the same level and contained within the same shell boundaries. You can use design options to display different shading devices or facade treatments. Sometimes it's used for roof. I'm probably not very keen about using it for roofs. But you can also use it for different type of material and window selections. Let's look at some terminology about design options. And I'm going to make a copy of this in PDF as well and put it in the Google Drive. And when we work in design options, the main model, it's everything in this model that will not be used as design options. I think that's pretty straightforward. It's the rest of the geometry, everything that is not a design option. When we create a design options, we set up a set. And a set, it's a collection of options that are addressing a design problem. You can have multiple sets inside a project. Maybe you want to tender options for a lobby design, or tender options for a facade study, or tender studies for desk layout. All of them can be living in the same model. A design option is one solution of the option sets. And you can have as many options as needed inside an option set. Within the option sets, you have primary options. A primary options is the preferred option. And you can assign your primary options to the design option you like the most, or the one you want to present to the client. One of the on the Revit side, the primary option establish closer relationship with the model in the main objects. For example, walls between the primary options and the main model are going to connect very seamlessly. And then the secondary options are alternative options to the primary option. They do not establish closer relationship with the main model. And you can only have one primary option. You cannot have multiple primary options, but you can have many secondary options. The active option, it's a property of the view. When you enable design options, then you need to be aware of what is your active options. Pretty much the same way you are aware of the active work sets or the active layer in AutoCAD. Anything you create, it's option specific. So I'm going to show you shortly what I mean by that. And then every option should have a dedicated view. So views are dedicated to specific design options, and that's why we created a dedicated construction plan for option A. All right, any question here? All right, design options is something you find under the Manage tab. And you're going to see it right here. It's called design options. When the design options are disabled, all these commands are grayed out. That means you're not using them. And so start a design option by clicking the design options button. And this is the design options dialog box. You start by creating an option set. And a set is a collection of solutions to a design problem. So I'm going to create a new option set. And when you hit new, the new option set is created. And a default option is also created. So you can rename option set by selecting it in this tree. Select the primary branch. And you can use the rename button. And I'm going to call this phase 2 options. And then option 1, again, you can also rename it using the option rename button in this panel. And I'm going to call this option A. And I know I'm going to have 2 options, so I'm going to also add a new options. And to create new options, you hit the new button in the design options dialog. And I'm going to rename the new option and call it option B. And if we had time, we can have option C, option D. And again, be very descriptive about how you name your option sets so that your users are not confused about what each of them represent. For example, entry lobby layouts, or feasibility studies, or desk layouts. And also be descriptive about the design names. All right, so this set up the design option sets, and this also allow you to create options. So I'm going to close this dialog box, and I'm ready to start using design options. And so what I mentioned earlier here is that you need to be aware what is the active option, because anything you create, it will start displaying as part of an option. And elements inside design options acquire an instance property associated with the option. And so notice also now that here in the lower bar, you will now find an active cell. This is the design option panel or design option dropdown. And this was grayed out in the past and didn't display any value. But moving forward, you have the ability to continue adding elements to the main model, or assign your new options, your new geometry, to either option A and option B. That makes sense? So be cognizant about what is your active design option. Another thing that happens in the instance properties of the view, if you scroll down, it's when you select objects, notice that a new instance parameter is called out as design option, and this identify what option this element belongs to. By default, everything belongs to the main model. But moving forward, I need to switch my design options to the appropriate one, and I need to create objects in the appropriate option. That makes sense. All right, so any question here? Any question on the deck? Any question on this terminology? Anybody behind? All right. We are going to add elements to an option A. So in the view that is called construction plan phase 2 option A, enable your option A design option. And notice how everything even grays out, and the elements on the main model becomes inactive. You cannot select them. They are there for reference. But as soon as you switch to this option, all you can do is add elements to the options. If you want to go back to the main model, just return to the main model. But elements you create in the main model belongs to the main model. So I'm going to switch to option A. And then I'm going to open the file that I provided to you guys. So open the file called option A, option 2A. And this is going to display a set of an office space for option A. Rather than linking, I'm just going to select all the objects. Again, the file I opened is called option 2A. Select all the elements in the project and hit copy to the clipboard. And then I'm going to switch to make sure you select the appropriate view. So I'm going to go to the construction phase option A. This is in the project. Construction plan phase 2 option A. And in here, I'm going to paste the elements. So go to the modify tab. I'm going to paste, and the option paste have this drop down list of different paste options. And so I'm going to select the option that says align it to selected levels, and pick level 1 and hit OK, and hit OK again. And it's telling me that some walls overlap. That's fine for now. And every element that I paste here will have option A as an instance property. So the furniture, the walls, the doors, they're all going to inherit the property of the option they were pasted into. All right, so everybody with me? You could take care of that warning. In fact, notice that the only thing I can do now is edit elements in option A. This wall actually needs to be removed. So I'm going to switch to the main model. Select this wall. This wall needed to be demolished. So this particular wall was created in the existing phase and is going to go away in phase 2. So when I do that, it's going to appear in the demolition phase 2. Any question? You guys with me? Were you able to copy paste it? This is my construction plan phase 2 option A. I'm going to do a 3D view of the option. Oh, just open it. I think I already did. Open the construction phase option A, and notice how all the existing elements are grayed out. And then my option A, it's displayed in the view. Now, the final step in this tutorial is to create the construction plan phase 2 option B. And so for open the construction plan phase 2 option A, and we're going to duplicate it. Duplicate the view. This is a construction plan phase 2 option B. Right click to rename. And now I need to tell Revit to switch off all the elements associated with option A, because I don't want to see option A in this view. And to do that, I go into visibility graphics. Again, to repeat, I duplicated phase 2 option A, I rename it as phase 2 option B. And then I'm going to switch off everything about option A using visibility graphics. So type on the fly VG, that's going to bring visibility graphics. And notice that once you have design options, you will have access to this tab, design options tab. And visibility graphics apply overrides that are specific to a view. Select the design options tab. And for this particular view, the only option you're going to display is option B, right? Option A is going to be switch off. So hit OK here and goodbye option A. I don't see option A anymore. Option A, it's still visible in its dedicated view. All right, and just like I did with option A, I'm going to make option B the active option. So in the drop-down list of design options, pick option B. Notice how the main model becomes grayed out. And I'm going to do exactly the same. Open the file called option B. I'm going to open it here on the side. I just double clicked it. This is how option B looks like. It's part of the data set provided. Select all the elements in option 2B. Do a big window selection, copy to the clipboard, and then jump back into your project. I need to go into the my project on construction plan phase 2 option B. Again, switch to your project phase 2 option B, and in the modify tab, paste align with selected level. Paste align with select modify tab, paste align with selected level, select level 1, hit OK on the warnings. And this is option 2. I'm going to return option 2. I'm going to return this to the main model to display it in the right line weight. And here it goes. The last thing I'm going to do is create a 3D view that displays phase 2 option B. So in the 3D view, right click the 3D view that says construction phase 2 option A, right click, duplicate it. I'm going to duplicate this view and rename it construction phase 2 option B. And in this 3D view, to force option B to be displayed, I use visibility graphics. So you type on the fly, VG, go to the design options and set the design set to option B. Apply. And there you go. So here you have the story of this project. We started with existing conditions, and then we demolish it. Then we constructed in phase 1 the first wing. Then we entered demolition of phase 2 and created 2 options. Option A, display this layout, and option B, display this other layout. And all these views can be placed into a sheet. You can present this to your client and let your client decide what is the best option. Does this make sense? Does this? So we are close to the end of the tutorial. I realized that I failed to broadcast this on YouTube, but I still have the recording on Zoom. So I'm going to download Zoom, the Zoom recording tonight, and then I'm going to upload it into the YouTube channel. But it's probably going to take a couple of hours to appear if you want to watch it again. All right, let me show you a few tips and tricks before I close out. Let's start with the phasing. So let's recap. A phase is a view parameter that defines the sign scope and the stage over time. Object phasing are parameter of the elements. You have to indicate when an element is created and when it's demolished. The combination of these two elements create an element status. You have existing, new, demolished, and temporary. Graphic overrides, it's a setting, and it applies overrides to the status of the objects. And then the phase filter, it's a view parameter that toggles visibility options to the objects per status. And overridden by category of not display are the three options. For design, well, let me see if I have limitations of phasing. If you don't like the filter overrides, you can customize it. Some people like I said, you want to have the gray as fill outs, as hatches, you can do that. If you don't like the dashes, you can always change it in the graphic overrides. Phasing properties can be included in the view template. So if you have a robust starting point, make sure that your phasing properties meets your documentation needs. You can create schedules, and the schedules can be phase specific. So let me show very quickly that. So for example, I'm going to create a schedule of the doors in phase 1. How many new doors are there going to be there? So you go to the view tab and create a schedule of quantities. And I'm going to add a door schedule. And notice here, you can be very specific about what is the phase that you want to display. Existing, new, phase 1 or phase 2. I'm going to say schedule all the doors on phase 1. Hit OK. Very quickly, I'm just going to add a couple of them. Family type, width, height. Width and height. That's all I'm going to do. Width and height. So these are in the visibility graphics overrides. Notice that the schedules also display phasing information. So the same visual toggles that applies to the floor plans also applies to the schedule. So you can say display all the existing ones and the new ones. So this is a combination of existing doors and new doors. If you just want to display the new ones, then switch the filter to show new. And this is going to get, I didn't add any on phase 1. Yeah. And then show preview. Show preview and new, it's all the existing ones. How about the demo ones? If I want to display the demolition, all the doors that are going to get demolished on phase 1, just switch the filter to show demo and new, and these are all the doors that were removed. So phase filter apply to schedules and are going to impact the quantities that you have. What else? If you need, if a wall is going to be partially demolished, use the split tool. The split tool is like that X-Acto knife that split a wall in half. To display the end cap demo walls, you can disallow joins. Remember what I did on my first time demo. Here you can this is a demolition plan, and notice how this is a demolition plan, but it looks like it's connected, still connected. To disallow a wall, you right click on the grip and disallow the joint, and then drag it in and out, and that's gonna make it look dark. It's gonna add a cap to the demolition one. And the final one, oh, the rooms are tricky because rooms are specific to a phase. They only exist in the phase they are created. Revit rooms do not travel across phases, and I don't like that about Revit. What that means is if you want to if you're creating demolition plan and you add the rooms here, then you have to copy them all and paste them into the construction plan, because rooms don't travel across phasing. And so when you schedule your spaces, when you schedule your rooms, make sure they are specific to a phase. Otherwise, you may have redundant rooms. All right. So that's all I have in the plate for you guys. Thanks for sticking with me now 2 hours and a half. 2 hours. Any question? Does it make sense? Does this clarify things?
Yes.
Awesome. All right. So now you know how to use design options and phasing. Start using it. And next class, I'm going to cover, I think it's site tools. So I'll put the data set on Google Drive before.
What about templates?
Oh, templates, yeah. I'm going to put a new file that we're going to use, and then I think the Thursday class is site tools. So, all right, everyone. If you stumble across and want to stay with me, just stick with me. Otherwise, I'll see you on Tuesday. And everybody has a great weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Have a good one.
Bye.
Oh, thanks, Jeff.
All right. All right. Any of you have questions? Bill, Melissa? One, two. I guess you stepped out. Or you're muted. All right. I'll see you guys next class. Have a good one.